Good day. I'm Pascal Parent, and I will be presenting Home Automator to you for the foreseeable future. I'm going to try to do one episode a week on Fridays, and we're going to learn how to automate our homes using DIY. With Home Assistant, with ASP Home, that's the aim of this channel. Now, I'm new at this, so you'll have to bear with me whilst I get my footing. My aim at the end of the day is to give you knowledge to better your home. And it may not always be related to home automation per se. I have built things that have no other reason of being than to get data, my weather station being one of them. And I'm busy building a secondary weather station. I can show you the beginning of it right here. This is an ESP32 with a lightning sensor. I will be adding other sensors to it that are not in my other uh, weather station. And I want to do it with you. I'm going to try to make it fun. I'm going to try to make it that I'm not too boring. But that's my aim. My aim is every Friday you will have a tutorial, and every Friday we will address a specific part of doing Home Assistant or doing ESP Home. And we will start with Home Assistant, the installation, and my way of configuring it. And I'll be honest with you, it's my way. It might not suit you. It may be that you're trying to achieve something completely different. And really, I don't mind. And please sound in the comments if that's the case. Maybe I can also look at doing some videos with that in mind. So that is my introduction to the channel. I'm new at this. I'm going to try the best that I can. I've done some off the cuffs. Now I'm doing this, and a lot of what I'm going to say is not going to be read word for word, but is scripted. So I've got points that are sitting in front of me, and I will go through them. As soon as we go into the actual installation, and as soon as we go into the actual configuration, you'll see I'll probably relax. And I'll relax for a simple reason. I don't have to read. It's just bullet points. Ah, yes, I must remember doing this and doing that. So this is where I'm going to start. And yeah, and how about we start now? So we'll start with installing Home Assistant operating system on Proxmox. I'm not including the Proxmox installation. Both Craft Computing and DB Tech have very, very good tutorials regarding that. So I will link them below so you can actually go and have a look at those. And yeah, I will see you in my introduction for Home Assistant. So we're going to install Home Assistant today on top of Proxmox. Proxmox is a virtual environment that runs on Debian Linux or Linux Debian. And as I said previously, if you don't have Proxmox or you're interested in installing Proxmox, it is very powerful. You'll need at least a decent Intel or AMD machine with, I use 16 gigs for my environment, and we'll install the operating system. Now, it is what I call a bare metal installation, generally speaking. With an installer, we will skip all of this because there is a very nice script that was written that will install that. There are other ways of installing Home Assistant, and those are, well, as I said, bare metal. So nothing else is on that machine. It's not in a virtual environment. And another way of doing it is to install it on a Raspberry Pi 3 or above. I have an installation that runs on a Raspberry Pi 4, 4 gigs without any issues whatsoever. It actually controls my entire energy in my house, and I've linked my main home automation machine with that, so I can actually do updates and a whole lot of other stuff on that machine without logging into it. Obviously, we've got the virtual machine, which we'll use today, and everything else is either Docker related or virtual machine related. I have a Docker container running Home Assistant. However, it has its problems, and I'm lazy. And yeah, I ran my main Home Assistant instance for a while on Docker, and yeah, as I say, I'm lazy. And Home Assistant operating system for lazy people is perfect. You can run it on top of Linux, obviously, since it's a Linux underpinning. You can run it on Windows. It is through a virtual environment, either Docker or virtual environment, and macOS the same. So we're not going to look at all of those. We are really going to focus on Home Assistant operating system. Let me see you when we start really talking about Home Assistant. What is Home Assistant? Home Assistant is an open source, free to use home automation platform that focuses on local control and privacy. A mouthful. Good news. It's 10 years old. It's matured. It's got more than 314,000 confirmed active installations, 2,600 integrations, plus everything that comes with HAOS or Home Assistant Community Store. It's highly likely that your device, your smart device, will be covered somewhere along that way, somewhere along the two. The platform is really a framework to allow you to start automating anything, to start getting information from anything, from fridges to air conditioners to whatever else. As long as it's smart, it's highly probable that Home Assistant has some kind of an integration to it. One thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is the fact that it is a tinker or DIY enthusiast platform. It doesn't come pre-packaged with anything. You have to do the work to configure it. You have to do the work to make it look good, and you have to claim things. And I've made my share of mistakes regarding that, but in another video. So this channel, as I've said earlier on, is gonna be focusing on the tinkering and the DIY part. Not that I won't talk about off-the-shelf products, because I will. Some of them we will integrate into ESP Home, believe it or not, into ESP Home, and others we will integrate directly into Home Assistant. So the series will start from the beginning, installation and so forth, and move forward from there. Now, again, I don't want you to run scared somewhere and no, this is too difficult for me. A little note about YAML, which we're going to use extensively on this channel. It's a configuration language, meaning that you're programming by configuration. It's far simpler than having to code C++. Now, I can do both. And yes, I would have far more control if I used C++ and libraries and so forth. But as I mentioned already, I'm fairly lazy. So total of the story, what's happening? I'm using ESP Home. So if you have any ideas of things that I could possibly cover, please put it below. I've already had requests because I am part of a Facebook group of Home Assistant enthusiasts, and I will do those, and I may slot these in between my normal schedule of every Friday. So yeah, let's see where this goes. But I think that right now we should get some coffee or tea and get our hands dirty. Okay, and this is the last bit of talking head, and it's been already a few minutes. There are things you're gonna need to follow this. A Proxmox virtual environment or a machine with Home Assistant operating system installed. Now you can find all of the instructions, and it's very well laid out on the Home Assistant website. If you want me to show you other ways of installing Home Assistant, please sound off again below. You're also going to need an internet connection to do updates, to aid a few integrations or whatever the case may be. I have a relatively fast internet connection, so I'll be able to do a lot of it live. You'll need a lot of patience, mostly with you, not so much with not so much with Home Assistant itself. It gets frustrating at times. I must be honest that I've had my share of that. Lastly, a lot of coffee or tea, and I drink both. So, but tonight I'm on sparkling water. Okay, so we're going to start the installation, and I am going to be jumping into Proxmox and yeah, showing you it's done. So we are here on Proxmox. I'll get that name right one day. And this is my installation. You can actually see that I have right here, I have an home automation operating system instance running, as well as right above, I have a Docker installation running. The rest is part of me trying different things. So yeah, but let's start at the beginning, and we will then stay on Proxmox right here. So this is your Proxmox instance, and we will click on a shell, which is situated right here, and we'll start the shell, and you will see that we are into the shell and that we are into Linux Proxmox, which is a Debian variant, if I can call it that way, or distro. Okay, with that, we are going to use a simple shell script, which I am gonna insert. I will also put in the description of the shell script, and I think that it will be important to thank the creator of the script, Tech, for making our lives so easy. And basically, to install it, all we do is we put the command and we do this. It's loading. Do we want a new Home Assistant operating system VM? Yes, it's going to ask, do we want to use default settings? And this is where I will go to advanced. I'm leaving that specific one as is. This is where I change things because 100 is actually something that I want to use with. This is the virtual machine ID. I will go 400 in my case. And I will say, okay. And this, I will leave everything as is. So I'm not going to change anything except for the host name. I'm going to do HAOS demo. Now, this is a machine that I will use with you in the future as well. So you'll see it grow. You'll see its quirks as well. And I will keep it up to date. So there is the host name, and I'm going to allocate 2 CPUs to it, and I'm going to allocate 4 gigs of RAM. That's fine. The bridge we do not touch. The MAC address is randomly done. That's fine. I'm not using a VLAN. I'm not going to change any of this. And do we start the VM when completed? Certainly, let's go for it. Are we ready? Yes. Off we go. I will fast forward this section and I'll see you afterwards. Yeah, so I had a bit of a problem with my recording and the sound disappeared. So this is my second time installing the operating system for you. And I thought, well, we were there, so let's start back right here. So our next step is to go into the operating systems details on the virtual environment and to go and find our IP address. And the IP address is right here. Now, if you're using another method, you would have to go to your router to find out which one is the new device that's on the network. The nice thing about using Proxmox is that, and the fact that if you mess up, it's very easy to restart from scratch. I just did in less than 5 minutes. Okay, so now that we know that we are at 192.168.0.123, we are going to go there. So we're going to go to HTTP this time, very important. We are going to take everything to the end here and, sorry, and this is 123 colon 8 123. This is where we will find our new installation. Okay, so is the sound still working? Yes. We are going to create my smart home, in our case, your smart home, and we are going to hit there. And I have taken the habit to put my full name everywhere, so I'm going to do that. Username Pascal is perfectly fine. Choose a strong password. I use a passphrase, actually. It makes it far more difficult for people to guess it. And if you want to, sorry, I need to concentrate a second there. If you want to open it to the world at a later stage, it's highly advisable that you do that, the strong password. I'll also show you later in this tutorial how to put one more layer of security. And we'll talk about other layers of security in another tutorial. Okay, moving along, we'll put our address approximately. So I live in Johannesburg in South Africa. So I'm going to put Johannesburg, comma, South Africa, South Africa. And we're going to click on Find Me Johannesburg in South Africa. We are happy with that. And we say next. Now, for the weather, for example, it's relatively important. For a couple of other things as well, if you want to do automations that are triggered through your location, that's also important to have your actual address. Now, as I say, I'm not going to use my actual address, but Johannesburg, South Africa will be sufficient for what we are going to do. Okay, I do put basic analytics. I think it helps the Home Assistant team to improve the product. And then I'm just going to click next, and it's going to find a whole lot of compatible devices. And I'm going to say finish. And here we are. We are inside of Home Assistant. And believe it or not, it works. And I'll prove that it works by doing this. Oops. That was bright. So yeah, you can see that it's picked up my Elgato key lights. And oddly enough, I'm gonna go to the far corner over here. I'm gonna again the three dots and I'm gonna say take control. I like to have control. Start with an empty dashboard, take control. And all I'm gonna do is, oh, my apologies, done. We now have an empty overview dashboard and I like starting clean. So I'm going to do something similar now. We are going to actually look at the notification. Notification tells us there are new devices. That was expected. And we're going to go now to settings, device and services, and you can see all of my devices and services. My Shelly devices, my printer, my Apple TV, all of my SP Home sensors, my Synology NAS. And all I'm going to do, and I'm not going to bore you with this, I'm going to fast forward through it, but I'm going to ignore all of them. Okay, now that I'm finished ignoring a whole lot of stuff, I am going to take out of this over here things that we do not need for the tutorials. Obviously, if you've got key lights, for example, it would be a good idea to keep it. I am going to delete it. I can reintroduce it later, and I might just do that in a tutorial in the future. I'm also going to delete Google text to speech. It is cloud based, and I really have no intentions of using it whatsoever. It would be nice if I did things properly, and you go to the three dots and you go delete. I don't want Google to know what I'm doing. It's that simple. The weather, this is the stock weather that comes with Home Assistant, and I'm going to go and delete it too. We'll put one later on. I am leaving the shopping list, I am leaving Sun, and I am leaving the radio browser. So we have a clean environment. Now you may ask, yes, but where are all of the stuff that you ignored? And just so that you know, you can show ignored devices. There you are, it's clicking this one. You can also show disabled devices. I've got no disabled devices, so there is none to be shown. Okay, so what do we do from here? We will get back to the screen in a minute, but before we do, we carry on with our cleaning up. And the next step is to go into people, and you will find me there. And honestly, a picture is worth a million words. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to put a picture, and that picture is this one. You will recognize it from the channel logo. And yes, allow the person to log in. Well, you're the only one. I wouldn't recommend not doing that. Can only log in from the local network. You can do that if you want to, but that means that once you're outside the network, you have absolutely no control over it. It is a layer of security that could be used. I am not going to do that, however. And yes, I am an administrator, and because I'm the only person on the server right now, I better not disable that. Okay, I'm going to actually ignore what's at the bottom. I'm just going to hit update. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one would be, well, I'm looking, yes. The second one would go, would be to go back to the menu bar settings, which we are into, scroll down to system, yes, and click on general. Yes. So this is about where you are. One thing I want to change, and only one thing that I want to change, is this one. I am at about 1,600 meters above sea level. So if you wanted to change, by the way, your locale or your zone, that would be right here. And yeah, for American friends, Fahrenheit is there and pounds is there. We use Celsius and kilogram. Okay, so let's update that and move on to the next thing that we need to update. The name of our system itself on the network. So we'll go to network. It says Home Assistant here, and I'm actually going to call it HA demo. Simply. And then to ensure that we don't IP hop, so that we don't change IP address, I'm going to say static IP. I'm going to leave it exactly where it is. And IP4, .8.8.8 for the DNS is the DNS of Google, which is perfectly fine. And this, the next one is my relay, which is perfectly fine as well. Personally, don't use IPv6, so I just disable it. Why have something on your network when you don't use it? Okay, so we are going to save that, and we are going to save that. We're going to save that, yes. And we are going to move to the next one. And the next one is I'm going to go to my user down here. And yes, English is fine. Use format. I'm more into using system locale because it's just everything will run at in the same way. Time format is always something that I find very painful. I use 24 hours personally. So there you are. Date format, another one that I'm a little bit different on. Time, it's my time zone, so it's fine. First day of the week is Monday for me. I'm not going to touch theme. I'm not going to touch the dashboard, but I am going to force dark. Always hide sidebar. Let's not touch it. Vibrate. No. Push notification. It does require SSL, something that we will address later. Advanced mode. This is vital if you are the administrator. Advanced mode. It allows you to do so much more without having to scratch your head and thinking, yeah, I'm limited to this or that. So this is very important. So I am going to enable advanced mode. But if you want to add another layer of security to your login, multi-factor authentication, you can use an authenticator app. I use the Microsoft one, but Google has one. Dashlane has one. And there are a few others that have multi-vector authentication. I can show you quickly, if you want to, what it will request. Enable. You take your phone, you go into a authenticator software, you scan it, and you put in the code at the bottom, and voila, done. Just don't lose your authenticator. Okay, so I am going to go out of this. We'll talk about long-lived access tokens and their usefulness also in a later tutorial. Let's move on to the next step. We are going to go to developer tools. We are going to check the configuration. Get into the habit. Check the configuration. Each time you restart Home Assistant, check the configuration first. You never know what you did. It may be a comma, it may be a chevron, it may be anything that won't allow it to restart. Okay, so we're going to restart it. It's not necessary. I just like to restart things when I change major settings. And as soon as it's restarted, it shouldn't take very long. There, it's empty, so it's fast. The larger, the more complex your Home Assistant instance is, the longer it takes. Mine takes around 30 seconds, between 30 seconds and 45 seconds. This one, as you saw, is nearly instantaneous. So I'm going to show you how to prepare everything for backups. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings, if my mouse doesn't mind. Ooh, wait a minute. We have a notification. Oh, we have another device that's been found, and those are the two Elgato lights. So we're going to ignore and ignore. And then we go to notification. We're going to dismiss the notification. Next, we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to, I think it is settings and system and storage. Yep, there it is. And as you can see right here, network storage. Now, this is a recent addition to Home Assistant. It wasn't there when I started using it, but it is very handy. And I'm going to explain to you why it's very handy. You are going to automatically make your backups remote on another machine. Now, that I'm personally going to be using my my NAS for that, my Synology NAS, but you could be using a Windows machine. a Linux machine, Apple Mac, really anything that's on the network. And I recommend using Samba or Windows Share, which is pretty much the same thing. They use the same protocols. So I'm going to add a network storage, and I'm going to call it HA demo. And I'm not going to do backup, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'm going to select backup here, and the server is going to be 192.168.0.3, which is my NAS. Okay, and we talked about this. We'll use Samba. Okay, and now we've got what the remote share is, and this I am going to have to look up. So the remote share is backup. Be careful, Linux is case sensitive, HA, but it's sitting on home. Okay, and I always get confused. I think it's this way. Okay, my username, and that is that, my password. Okay, and hopefully I've got it right. I wonder where. Ah, okay. You remember what I said about, yeah, that doesn't matter, about that slash over here? I always get it wrong for some odd reason. Okay, let's try again. Okay, it still doesn't like it. Okay, I'll get back to you shortly.
One eternity later.
Well, as it turned out, there were more than one problem, and I fast forwarded through them. I had the IP address wrong, I had the folder wrong, and I had my forward slash and backslash wrong. However, everything works now. We're going to go back to settings, and we're going to go this time to system backups. And we are going to go to those three dots on the top right corner, and we are going to change the default backup location. You're going to see use data disk for backup, or alternatively use HA demo, which is the one we just mapped. So we are going to use HA demo, which was defaulted to. And at this point, I really like to create a backup. Oops. We're going to create a backup, and I'm going to put initial clean HA. Okay, and I'm going to call that HA demo. Okay, I'm going to do a full backup. You can put password protection, but if it's within your own environment, I don't see why it's required. Okay, we're going to create this, and I can tell you it's already finished. 123 kilobytes. Okay, but I can tell you it's there, it was done, and it's very small. We got another notification, and this happens. It's picked up another one of my Shelly devices. So we're going to promptly ignore it and clear the notification. Okay, so from here, we are going to do some quick configuration. We're nearly finished here, I think. Yep. A few things that I like to have around. It helps me for certain power controls and things like that. So we're going to go and add integration, but I think I'm in your way. Yes, I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting myself on the other side, because we are going to use this button over here, add integration, and we are going to be looking for seasons. Seasons. Here it is. I use a meteorological season. And if you want to know a bit more about the differences, just Google it. It's quite interesting. The area, I'm going to create a new area called weather. I know it's not a room, but it makes life easier to find where is what and so forth. So now we've got the seasons, and I'm going to show you exactly what season does. We're in the southern hemisphere right now, are in summer, and it tells me it's summer. Okay. This is my basic configuration. As soon as I can, I will put all of these configuration and the text and everything else onto my website. Unfortunately, the website is not quite ready yet. I am working on it. It's going to take me a couple of weeks to sort it out. You will have all of that on the website. All of the links that I've spoken about will be down below. Anyway, that wraps this tutorial. Next week, we'll be installing ESP Home. And please like, and if you really like what I've done today, and remember, it's my first one, don't be too harsh on me. Subscribe and maybe smash the notification button. And yeah, this is Pascal signing off. See you in the next tutorial.